Hey guys, what's going on? It's RC Knockout and I am back with another video. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Nolan, and in today's video, I have got my Traxxas Xmaxx out. Now, the thing I'm doing today is I'm actually going to be putting a center diff in this machine. Now, if you're not familiar with the Traxxas Xmaxx, this right here started out as a Traxxas Xmaxx 6S, which was what the version 1 Xmaxx was. So, from when the Xmaxx first came out in like 2015 till I want to say early to mid 2017, all of those Xmaxxes were 6S. And after like I want to say March or April of 2017, everything from then on has been 8S coming from Traxxas. Now, the disadvantage of having the 6S version does not come with a center diff. This is what's stock in a 6S version right here. This is just a plastic nylon reinforced gear. This is a 51 tooth output drive. Now, because I do run this on 8S, I opted to switch this out, and I put in a hardened steel version from Hot Racing. So it's the exact same design as this, except for it's made out of hardened steel. So it's a much tougher material than this plastic gear. But this is still kind of like this is still a solid gear that's in there. And I've been chipping diffs quite a bit on this machine. I've either been chipping teeth or chipping teeth off the pinions. And I think it might be because I have a solid locker spool and because I don't have a center diff sitting back there to help take some of that shock out of the system. I think it just goes right to my diff gears and it breaks them. So that's why we have this right here. Bought this on eBay. This right here was pulled out of a brand new Traxxas Xmaxx 8S. This is the center differential. But this takes the place of this. But the thing you have to do is when they redesigned the center diff, when they designed it, I should say, they put larger bearings on it. So it's a little bit smaller bearings that went on this. So you do have to use a whole new bulkhead. So the rear bulkhead has to be replaced for the 8S version, which is this part number 7727X, because it's grooved out so it can accommodate slightly larger bearings, which, like I said, these are. So that's why it's a little bit bigger job than just switching the gear out. You have to switch out the rear bulkhead. You do have to take quite a bit of stuff apart just to access where this is. So what I'm going to do today, guys, is I'm going to do the teardown for you guys. Once I get in there, I'm actually going to also show you kind of the difference between the center differential compared to the hardened steel output drive I have in there, and maybe talk a little bit more about the benefits of having this gear in there. So let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so to speed this process up, I'm going to be using a drill just to back all the screws out. Obviously, when I reinstall the screws, you're going to want to tighten them at least the rest of the way down. You can tighten them somewhat with this, but you're not going to want to tighten them all the way with this, because then you'll strip out the threads, which is no good. To begin with, what we have to do is there's going to be these two screws on this side need to be removed. There's two more on that side, right here and here. The screw right here and here on this side need to be removed. I believe the one right here, one right there, one right there, and one right there, I think all four of those need to be removed. And let's see, on the bottom, I believe at least these two right here and here need to be removed, maybe there and there. And then the bulkhead should slide apart. So let me start disassembling it. Another screw out. This did start out life as a 6S Xmaxx, so it it originally came with a slipper clutch, and that is this right here. This right here is what this machine originally came with. I did swap the cush drive into it. So basically, this is a slipper clutch, like on what most RCs have is a slipper clutch. So this just slips, you tighten it down. There's a spring on there, you tighten it, and it slips a certain amount. And obviously, the gear went around here, around this part. This gear basically went around this part right here. But on the 6S one, the gear was actually plastic. So that's another thing with the 6S Xmaxx, the 8S Xmaxx, they upgrade the whole drivetrain to metal. I do have to say the stock 8S spur gears are not very good though. They're kind of cheap metal, so they're kind of some sort of cast metal, so they will chip all the teeth off. It's one of the main failure points. That or the pinions of usually the first gear to go. So that's actually an aftermarket billet one, but this is the one that would come with the 8S. And like I said, the 6S version, this originally had a plastic one. So I'm going to put that aside. I just brought that out to show you guys what the difference looked like. And the slipper clutch, for the most part, worked well. But I know once you get a slipper clutch wet, it slips like crazy. Especially when you're trying to contain as much power and get as much power to the ground that the Xmaxx has. When you're trying to get 8S power to the ground, it's much better to run a cush drive, which just has a little bit of give to it, rather than a slipper, which is going to start slipping like crazy. And like I said, this is an aftermarket 50-tooth hardened steel. Is this steel? I think this is steel. Yeah, I think this is a hardened steel spur gear. And like I said, this is a cush drive. So basically, there's a rubber bit in here. So I think it's called like an elastometer. So basically, it's a rubber piece that's shaped like a Y, and basically any shock that goes through this drivetrain has to be absorbed from that little bit of give, so it can soak up little shock waves that will obviously be going through your drivetrain, which will hopefully save your gears. This probably doesn't save the gears as well as what a slipper clutch would, but like I said, the disadvantage of slipper clutch is it's going to start slipping. I set the differential down in this differential. Look at that, guys. We still have gears that are chipping. That chip right there, I mean, I did take it to the skate park the last time. We have 2 chip teeth on this. More than 2. We got 2 right here as well. I did not notice that at first. Okay, well, you know what, guys? It's not making any noise yet, so I'm not going to do anything about it. Shock tower, then we have the suspension arms with the drive shaft dog bones right here like that, and now we basically have this disassembled aside from just having to take off these last, let's see, 4 screws, which these are all going to be 2.5 as well, guys. Alright, and this is the last thing we have in here, which is this gear right here. So here's our pinion gear, which our pinion gear doesn't look chewed up at all actually yet. So that looks fine. So it's just a couple teeth on the diff gear got chewed, but we're still going to retain them. So this right here is the output gear that I was talking about. So this is a hardened steel one from Hot Racing. So like I said, this is what would normally sit back here. That would normally sit in there with the bearings. And that would sit in there. But like I said, that's just a plastic gear. So that's why I switched to this. Very hard to tell, but this is a slightly larger bearing. So if I go and try to put this in here, I mean, it kind of almost fits, but you can see a gap down there. Do you see the gap? That's why this does not hold this. Like it'll still spin in there fine, but those canals or whatever these are called right down in here, these grooves are not cut to the proper size for this bearing. So that's why you have to replace the bulkhead, is all just because of these 2 little bearing carriers right here are not cut to the right size. So that's why the 6S one won't work. So we're going to put this off to the side and show you the 8S one. So we're going to set this down right here. And as you guys can see, there's no gap. So let me move this out of the way. There's no gap down in there now. So this bearing fits down in there. So this bearing right here is still going to be the same size as on the 6S1. And that's what accommodates this, which then goes into here, which then goes into the actual center diff. And then it would be this piece right here that slides into the front part of the center diff. So this would slide in here, which I will get that done. I won't do that quite yet. I'll do that when I'm going to put the rear bulkhead back together. So let's get that gear back in there. I'm probably going to put a bit of grease on it. I'm not going to put any grease actually on this gear right here. I'm not putting any grease on this center diff. There, got that pretty well lubed up. That's what she said. I think that's all we're going to do for using the grease. Don't really want to put any grease on that center diff, like I said. I don't feel like that one needs to be greased because dirt and crap's more likely to probably get in there. So now, guys, we have got the front or the rear bulkhead. So this is just the top portion of the rear bulkhead, and this just goes on top like such. And then we can start tightening stuff down, which I'm going to do a little bit more by hand, especially since we're starting some new threads out. Alright guys, I totally forgot I had these parts right here. So these are for the motor mount, just so you don't strip those out for the Traxxas Xmaxx. And I kind of told myself the next time I take the motor out, I'm going to install these. I got the red, for some reason I got the blue anodized ones, not the red ones. Boom. It's done. Doesn't look any different. Doesn't sound any different. Nothing's gonna look different. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so then you're notified whenever I come out with new videos. And next time we're gonna have to obviously test this out. We do have some chipped teeth on that diff gear, which kind of sucks, but I wasn't hearing any noises when I had it at the skate park, so we'll probably keep on running it until we actually destroy it. But maybe that having that center diff now down in here will help prevent and maybe lengthen the life of that diff a little bit. And I don't know whether or not we have chipped teeth in the front. I'm not going to take them apart just to see. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in another video. Later.